to this live session on the eve of International Women's Day. Though the Women's Day is every day, isn't it, Lena? We were just talking about that. It's not really a day, and all those marketing gurus and professionals who have created such an event, this is to honor that. However, it is very important, even on this eve, that we really go deeper, understand the corporate practices, understand industry practices, understand the way work is done. And I think it is a right time to kind of reflect on this subject, understand this a bit deeper, understand from your experiences. Lena, you are a veteran in the industry, and so is Harpreet, but maybe a little younger. So it would be wonderful perspective or wonderful session or wonderful conversation that we can actually hold here and try to dig deeper, deep diver on this particular aspect. And we're talking about head above clouds. I think let's reflect on that for a while, get deeper into that, what that signifies. But before that, just to introduce our two panelists here, Leena and Harpreet. Leena is a veteran from the industry, and she has worked in several roles across Aeon, GE, and Tata Sons, amongst many others. She has contributed to the industry, I must say, and she has really contributed to the thought leadership. And we are also benefiting in Cognos from her presence. It's been a wonderful journey in the last 1 year. We have actually brainstormed and created a lot of ideas together, and to many more as we go along. Harpreet has been shaping Cognos in the last 4 years, and she has been behind so many great initiatives. We have done a lot of IP and intellectual property in the last 4 years, and probably she has been part of all of that. So that's for the introduction of our panelists today. So jumping straight into our conversation now, Lena, first question to you. We are talking about head above clouds. What does that signify? What does that really mean? How do how do you keep your head above the clouds, and what have you done in the last 20-25 years? Enlighten us and tell us more about how women in industry have shaped organizations, businesses, and the industry.
Sure.
Lena, you
Thank
can
you, Lokesh,
hear
for
me,
that
right?
question. Head above clouds. Head above clouds is nothing but, we all see seasons in life. And
Right.
when a season changes, you see significant changes in the environment around you, changes in the energy around you. And, you wear different clothes, you behave differently, you eat different food when the season changes, right? So, head above clouds is nothing but that. It's basically when you see clouds around you which are heavy, which are stormy in nature, you forget that behind that, if you just lift your head a bit more, you see sunshine, and sunshine is not, far away. So in life, you do see adversities. If life goes on smoothly, you don't realize that you're living. There are ups and downs in lives. There are situations where you feel that you have not encountered this before. How do I survive this? In those situations, it's very important to keep your head held high. Just lift it a bit and see beyond the dark, gloomy clouds that you see, so that you can experience shine just lies behind those clouds. That's really what the theme signifies from my parallels. And in life, all of us while working do see a lot of challenges. Men, typically it could be, motherhood, which comes as a challenge which they have not encountered before. Nobody can prepare you for that. But you just need to make sure that you are confident about your own self, your own ability to manage the situation. You learn from people who've done this before. You dip into your ecosystem your support system during that time, people who can give you guidance as well as moral support during that time. And you shut noises which take away from you, which is creating negative energy into your, into your life. So I'll give a very simple example, Lokesh. I've always uh, been a person who's focused on goals and what I'm set to do. Uh, and, and my parents have always supported my dreams. And this is way back, my daughter is now 14 years old. But when she was born, I started getting a lot of lectures, which were perhaps noise at that time. And I had to make very conscious effort to keep that away because it could have drowned me, right? I could have got drowned in that noise. I could have drowned in the people's expectations of me as a mother, as a colleague, as a worker. And that's where you have to keep your head uh, a little held high, that you're able to see the light, after the, I won't call motherhood as a dark cloud. It's not. Circumstances around that, maybe, right? So, that's one instance that I can quote. The other could be challenges that you face at work. And when you do that, sometimes you don't know how to navigate those, how to go about those. But what I have experienced myself is, uh, you know when doors are shut, many more open, actually many more open. And you need to have that ability to look at those doors, draw strength from there, have belief in yourself, have faith in yourself. And then listen to stories where people have done that before, people who've been through those situations, and then draw strength from there, draw your inner strength as well, and then believe in yourself and keep moving forward. The basic concept of head above clouds is move forward, and keep your faith in yourself. That's really the crux of what I'm saying.
That's so wonderful. I think keeping your head above the clouds. And I think one thing that I really take away from here is life is about situations. It's not about this gender or that gender. It's not about being a mother or being a daughter or being a wife, or it's not really about all of those things, because different human beings play different roles. And while playing those roles, keeping your head high, keeping yourself above the cloud, to me, I think what you also mean is clarity, keeping clarity here. So being clear on what you are doing and where you want to go, and that's about all. And then you deal with situations with a lot of positivity rather than seeing them as challenges or seeing them as obstacles, isn't it?
So if I can add a bit, Lokesh, it's also about not seeing yourself as a victim. uh,
Correct.
and you do get into that zone where you start feeling that you're a victim of the society, you're a victim of the situation, you're a victim of someone. But once you get out of that mode is when magic happens with you, right?
Right.
So, and that magic is there with all of us. And but that magic is elusive to most people because you are caught in the spiral of victimhood. So get out
Yeah.
of that victimhood and create that magic. All of us can do that, and believe totally in yourself. And that's really the other angle which, as you were speaking, came to my mind.
Yeah. And I think how can women be victims? Women are the givers, right? Our life exists because of them. And I have been surrounded by strong women, my mother, my sister, and even my daughter. I have been surrounded by strong women all through, and I think yeah, I will never see women as victim. And if they are seeing it, I think it is time to raise their heads above cloud and see that you are the
Yeah.
giver, you are not the taker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Harpreet, tell us about your experiences. How have you really held that head high above the cloud, and how have you perceived the industry, workplace, in your experiences?
Yeah. So, in fact, I was in the morning, I was really reflecting on my life and also, trying to link my life with this, our talk today. A couple of things which I have experienced that so life is like a movie, and I think one key principle which which I really hold true to myself, that nothing is real, everything is real. So like one scene changes, the other scene changes, and so is my role. Like I'm at individual. I might have certain traits which are very centric to me, but at the same time, I'm playing different roles. I'm juggling with different roles, be it a colleague, be it a sister, be it a daughter, and different roles which I play, and how beautifully or what justice I do to those roles is the crux of my life. Whether I am, let's say, whether I am at work, I'm at client, if I'm there, am I there 100%? Am I there fully present? Am I there fully attentive and being, having that focused only towards adhering to what my client needs? At the same time, when I'm at home, am I fully there, right, with my family, with my folks, and really enjoying that moment? So it's not either and or. It's all about wherever I am fully present and I'm fully attentive and I'm there. I think that that's one thing which I really wanted to share from my own experience, and what I relate to head above the cloud. That so it's not about, okay, whether I'm juggling, whether I'm struggling. It's about wherever I am, I'm 100% there and I'm fully present. I'm fully attentive and being focused and attentive to what I need to do, what role I need to play at that moment.
Right. I think that's a very important point. I think just talk to us a little more about this, because this is a very very important thing, very important thing. So it's not just we're not talking about men or women. It's for everyone. How do you just be in that moment and add value to that moment? It's a lot of times people say I have 10 responsibilities. I'm struggling with my children. I'm struggling with my studies. I'm struggling with my work. I'm struggling with earning. So many different pressures people carry. uh, how do you live in that moment? So how do you switch on, switch off, in the sense of the word, that wherever you are present there?
So in my life, I practice mindfulness in different shapes and forms. So that really helps me in, that really helps me centering at certain points in my life. Staying very very connected with my breath is one principle. I see when I'm not focused, I'm diverging. My breath changes, and I get to realize that, okay, hey, I'm not attentive to my role. So there's small practice which I've inculcated over a period of time, and through a journey when I started almost 10 years back, and now it has become a habit. Now it has become more like a habit, wherein this has become a part of me. So it's like a journey which I have traveled through. From where I started, there's some mindful practice which I do. I've done vipassana, I do yoga, etc., etc., and that's how at least I have been able to maintain this, maintain this in my life.
Okay, okay, that's wonderful. So, I think that's another great input. We must practice some kind of a personal discipline that helps us being above, to remain above the cloud in that sense, and it's not just for mothers or women or uh, the diverse workforce that works in the industry, but it's for everyone. I think that's wonderful. Lina, on to you. We spoke about different roles women play, and particularly from that particular point of view, how have you experienced work? And then, take us a little bit through your journey in terms of different roles you have played, a mother, a daughter-in-law, a wife, a sister, and then the numerous roles that women have to play while also excelling at work. So talk to us a little bit about that journey and about your experiences at work.
Lokesh, I say often that when you're shaping your career, it's like driving a car, and
Yeah,
the windshield ahead of you is wide, and the rear view mirror is small. So no looking back, looking forward. Looking back for making sure that you are not changing lanes without knowing that you will have accidents on the way. That's really to keep you safe. But looking ahead is how one needs to view, your career. Uh, just like you, when you drive a car, you have to shift gears. You're not perpetually running on fourth gear. You have to come back to third gear sometimes, go back to neutral. uh, you know Life is like that. There will be many situations where uh, you will need to focus more on your family because of the situation one is in, and that's very important. Jobs change, companies that you work with change, your family remains with you. And a lot of your fulfillment come from your work. End of the day, your happiness comes from people who you love, people who are around you. So you have to keep that balance for yourself in the way it works for you. There is no magic formula there. It has to work for you, and you need to ensure that you are able to the gears of your life in a manner that suits both aspects of life, right? So uh, and it's like Preet said, it's about quality. And I'll give an anecdote. I was talking about getting lectured by my own mom on what kind of mother I am. So I just asked myself, but she's not the person who should be telling me. It should be my daughter telling me, because that relationship is with her. So I started actually using the NPS, and I would ask her every day, twice or thrice, that how was your day with me? On a scale of 10, how give me, right? So it started off very badly, 2, 3, 4. I was like, I'm spending so much time with her, but she's still saying 3, 4. What is it that she wants? And I realized that an activity where she enjoys, and if I participate, even if it is 20 minutes, even if it is 30 minutes, even if it is an hour, right, is worth more than maybe 4 hours of things that we did together but she didn't care about, right? So then you really try and focus on those activities which give her joy. And and that's the time we had the best dialogues, because it was in her zone. And like Harpreet said, being present is being in other people's zone, right?
right.
When somebody is speaking with you and you're lost in your own thoughts, you're not there with them. So when you're looking at different roles, I could go and stay with my parents for 5 days, but if I'm not there mentally with them, they'll never
Yeah.
feel that I visited them, even though I physically did. So you have to talk to them in their zone. And this is applicable at work as well. Your co-workers, your clients, you're lost in your own thoughts. It is counterproductive. It is very difficult to do, but there are ways in which you can do it. One practice that I started using very early is really reflecting every day. And I have been at my best when I did that. You just need 20 minutes, 30 minutes of quiet time with yourself, just to see how the day went. What did you do well, what did you not do well? And when you are able to apologize for not being present on your own without somebody having to highlight that to you, that really creates a very deep bond. The the beauty of any relationship is the depth of that
Yeah.
bond. And that's where you should invest your energy in. And depth can
Yeah.
only be created when you are there, you're present. And when people need you, you are able to prioritize them over anything else. You will find time. You know, we have a lot of time. We don't realize we waste so much time on social media, so much time on watching things. You know, but you know, we just
Capacities.
don't. We don't create that space for where it matters. And in order to do that, Lokesh, the most important time that you have to spend is with yourself.
True
Because
that.
if you are not with yourself, you know, I often say this to people, that it is your own job to keep yourself happy. Nobody else can give you happiness. If you
True.
aren't happy, nobody around you will be. And for that, if you need to steal away time from people and be with yourself, do that religiously. Focus on yourself first. In aircrafts, you first need to wear your own before you start helping others. It very important to do. Very very important to do. And you know, I realized this again. You know, motherhood teaches you a lot of life lessons, right? My husband was going playing golf. He was going playing cricket, and I was even thinking, you know, मैं बाल भी कटवाने जाऊं या नहीं, right? So that was how the priorities changed. And then you know, I just said, you know, what is it that I'm trying to do? And it shifted my focus. You know, I realized that uh, you know, it's important to have that uh, relationship with yourself as well. And that's when you can fulfill all other relationships. And I think, you know, once you do that, you have peace around you, work can automatically happen. You know,
That's
it's
right.
not the other way around. You don't get peace from work to have peace in your life. You need to have peace in your life to
True.
do the best work that you can. It's the other
True
way
that.
around. And if you crack that formula, you've done it.
And I think this is so important. So that is so important. In fact, just and I think two examples to add to what you're saying. I was last week meeting a senior executive. You know, we do a lot of leadership assessments, and the person was excellent. You know, very capable, and this was a gentleman, by the way, not a woman. Uh, and somewhere in the conversations, it came out that, you know, I'm not spending enough time with family, my daughter, my wife, my parents, and I really miss that. And my parents who did so much for me, I can't even go and visit. I think what you said is very important here. Quality. It's not. I said the same thing to him. It's about the quality of the time, not the length of the time that you spend. And
Yep.
the other important thing is where you are when you're not there. How do they live those moments again with you? You
Yes.
know, those moments when they recall, when the recall happens, and they think of you. How do they feel? And do they relive those moments as good or not as so good? So that's a very important thing. And I think just to, you know, from mythology, take an example. Radha and Krishna were never together, right? So, but they're always remembered together. So it's not about
Yeah.
the length of time you spend with somebody, really. It's about the quality of time you spend and the changes you bring to the larger world from that perspective. And I think that is a very important thing that both of you are saying. So Harpreet, what is your experience with Gen Z? You know, in this regard, when it comes to you know, having experience at work, and even Gen Y, maybe a lot of them would be young mothers, and how are they uh, taking this transition? How are they experiencing this transition, and how are they experiencing work itself? Any insights from your observations?
Yeah, so I think couple of things when it comes to Gen Z, or let's say Gen Y for that matter. So again, they really want clarity, right? They really want, okay, the kind of work which I am doing, what's the purpose behind it? Why am I supposed to do this work? What is the larger picture or value add this work is happening? Like, even I think even in Cognos, while Gen Z is there, the kind of questions, the kind of intelligent questions they ask, and I sometimes I wonder, okay, when I started my career, was I asking those questions or not? did I ever ask those questions? So they seek clarity. They see that, bigger picture, how that bigger picture is created for them. And also they're very clear about their aspirations, right? I don't see that they're very there's a dark cloud or gray cloud when you ask them what do you really want to do. They're very confident, and they are very clear in terms of what really they want to do. So I think as a employer, we have to kind of see that clarity or that purpose we are able to provide to them at regular intervals of time. That is first. And also hold them accountable, right, for the kind of work which they are doing. Even like, for example, freshers which we hire today, they you know they're smart enough to hold accountabilities. They're smart enough to hold the fort as in when required. And third is, we talk a lot about work life balance, etc. So they're very clear. They'll not work, they'll not work, right? And you can't push them. You have to kind of have that balance and agreement with them. Like, for example, I remember when I started my career, I used to not see mm, the time and watch at all, or have a it's a 9 to 6 shift, or it's a 9 to 5 shift and I rush. But these guys are very very particular, very articulative in that manner, that okay, we have other priorities and that's how we want to work towards it. So from that lens, with Gen Z, these are some of the things as an employer, we really have to keep in mind when we are engaging them, when we are kind of uh, having them in our organizations.
So they usually come with their head above the cloud.
Yeah, they
It's
are
our
already.
generation.
Yeah.
It's rather my generation which was cloud. The cloud scene is seen here as well. Right,
They are
right.
already
So,
above the cloud, and they ensure that if right direction is given to them, they ensure that even you are at par with them,
right, right.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And talk any observations from their journeys in the form of relationships that you have observed, and how the evolution is happening in that sense.
So
So, I mean, if I can just take a at location,
Sure.
uh, key word is purpose, and work with purpose is not meeting criteria of this generation at all. You know, it's not just about a job. I think uh, there are plenty of opportunities which are beyond the corporate world, which are available for many people today. Not true when I graduated. Not so much true when I graduated. So uh, I find people uh, who don't know what they are doing, they don't mind leaving that job, right? And they'll do what suits them after that. The second theme that I have seen is uh, the the toxicity that a culture can bring. I think there is very low tolerance towards that. There are more hobbies, there are more items that they want beyond work. So to that extent, it is a much more holistic view to than just do
Right.
a job and come back home and do. So I find them more present. Though I think the relationships that they may have may be multitude and superficial to that extent. It's just part of growing up, I guess,
Right.
right?
yeah.
So but it for them, it is very important. The socializing element is very key as well. And they will do anything to make sure that they are able to spend that time with their social circle. They'll figure out way to do it despite their busy schedule, and they don't even mind taking time off to do that if required. So, I see that as a good change, because you have a corporates that you have to redefine how you look at work. Harpreet, Lokesh, and Leena may be willing to roll up sleeves and do anything which is thrown our way, but that's not going to be the case
That's
any
right.
longer. So it has to have strong sense of purpose. It has to have strong sense of achievement. It has to have strong sense of fulfillment to
That's
that individual. And organizations must try and attain that by streamlining work, by removing drudgery that is there in the work which shouldn't be done actually by humans, could easily be automated. And those are the investments one would need to make it much more easier, and easier for them to focus on what uh, drives, or what creates that intellectual stimulation for them.
Yeah, I think so. I think it is completely driven by purpose. I think on the other aspect, from a balance of relationships perspective, I think moving on from Insta and Facebook kind of relationships, or that friend thing, to a more real relationship is, I think, what I would say to the youngsters
Yeah.
they must do more of. Yes, Harpreet, you're saying
And
something.
also, yeah, just to add on specifically for Gen Z, the trend which I have been observing, there's plenty of information available, right? I mean, what not is available online, be it paid, unpaid, YouTube, Insta, etc., etc. So plenty of information available, and what I've observed is, they usually miss, they usually miss on experience versus knowledge, right? So what they try to do is they accumulate a lot of information with themselves, and they feel that that information has become their experience, and that information has become their way of life, and they're not maybe willing to experience themselves and have a point of view of their own. I think this is one subtle shift which I'm seeing in the new generation, that okay, they think, okay, I've searched in Google, I've read this in YouTube, I know it all. But while we experience something, we realize that okay, there are some deeper aspects to, to learning, right? It's not only it's not only at a knowledge and an information available, at an knowledge and information level. So I think that is one shift which I am also seeing with respect to Gen Z coming in.
Absolutely, I think. I
And
think
Lokesh,
absolutely.
one more point there is, I would say, what worries me is resilience. Uh, you know, if you don't see hardships through the experiences you have, uh, the resilience can't be built. You need to have perseverance. uh, just because you have multitude of options available, uh, you may want to quit early, you may want to get into something different, and that has impact on the resilience. And unfortunately, organizations are also feeding this by spoon feeding the individuals, the daily surveys, the daily pulse, checking on them on how they are doing.
Yeah.
Everybody has a mood swing. I may feel certainly about a job on certain day. After 3 days, I may not feel that way. It was just an incident that caused me to feel that way. But I'm not even allowing Leena to process that information herself. I am trying to give her some spoon feeded answers, or I'm trying to babysit her too much into the organization, that I feel, I'm spoiled at home, I'll be spoiled at work too. And that, I think, will take away from the tenacity, the resilience that needs to be there in any individual to grow. And that is a big worry and a cause of concern. And it's again linking to Harpreet's point of not having that experience. Somehow we need to think about how to give that experience. And otherwise they'll always be below clouds, and they'll think that's the way the world is, right? They'll never be able to lift their heads above the clouds. So that's really one aspect that I think companies must be thinking about.
I think that's so true. And resilience and experience will also be traveling to relationships. You know,
Yes.
less resilience, less experience will always travel to relationships within and outside organization. And I think that's a worrisome point as we move forward in this generation. And I think there's somewhere a requirement for a balance for sure. Okay, so with that, Lena, what is your message to women who are aspiring to be part of workforce today? You know, those 20-year-olds, 22-year-olds, people who are getting assimilated into workforce. How should they cope up with these multitude of challenges, and what should they do to better advance their lives, not just their careers?
So, Harpreet summarized it very well. Be clear on what you want. And once you've chosen that path, uh, that's your choice you have made, right? As long as you are choosing, you will find yourself to be well balanced in life. If you are not choosing and you're made to choose, that's where trouble starts, right? So, in those situations when the world is pushing you to choose, uh, my two bit of advice would be that make sure that you are having the right dialogue. So I'll give an example of an individual who was facing this very strong dilemma in her life. She had aging parents, she had moved countries to be with her aging parents, and realized her husband and her children were not happy with that choice. She was also somehow not happy with that choice, but she felt that this solution of the problem has to be her sacrificing something or the other. And when this coach who was coaching her in front of me dialogue with these people, right, with your children, with husband, with your aging parents. And at that time she said, no, I have not even brought them in, and she had taken the entire burden of the problem on her shoulders. So making sure when you're making those choices, you are bringing the right people in to the discussion, so that that choice is informed choice, and you are able to seek support and express what you would want to do. If, let's say I've taken a back seat for a couple of years because of some situation at home. uh, After 2 years, what is it that I would want to do? Do I have that clarity today? Am I having that open dialogue with my family that after 2 years, this is what I would want, and I want you to support me right now? I'm doing it, right, for our sales. So, you know, just having those very clear discussions, not taking the entire burden on oneself, not having the guilt of, of the roles that play. The world will make you feel guilty all the time, but you please don't make yourself guilty all the time. Okay, so these would be the three things. Get not don't get into the guilt, don't get into the victim trip, make right choices. If you're forced to make a choice which is not, you're sure that you negotiate to get back on track. Very simple mantra, Lokesh.
Yeah, and money is not is equal to life. Career is not equal to life.
Yes, not
Life
at
is
all.
a multi
Not at
things.
all.
Yeah. Yes. And if you miss out for a couple of years, doesn't mean that your life is not full just because you didn't become that
Yes,
VP. You know. So
absolutely.
uh, that is a very important thing. Life is more important, and how we lead a life and the sum total of it. In my experience, money to be earned is more or less equal. People across our age group typically would be on the same level. It's not really, it's a little bit here or there, delta here and there, but the quality of lives that people have lived will may have vastly differentiated based on how they have experienced life. So I think that's
And
the real treasure.
And when you're 70 and you look back, you'll not remember when you got promoted.
That's
You'll
true.
not remember your increment numbers. What will you remember?
You'll remember the
What
relation.
impact you made,
Yeah.
Yeah.
how people around you feel about you. But when I'm running today in the rat race, if I am, then what am I thinking about? I'm thinking about the next promotion. I'm thinking about the next increment. I'm thinking about more money, different job. And, those things actually don't matter when you look at life yourself.
That's so
And
true.
yes, all, accomplishment is very important. But what you pay for that, you need to be comfortable with it. And that's your individual choice, no judgment. Okay, some people choose differently, and that's absolutely fine. Your individual choice, you should be happy with that. But know what matters to you and align your act. You can't say that these things matter to me, I just don't have time. You can't say that. You have to align all your actions to what matters to you.
What matters, absolutely. And then race or competition, it's not that you don't compete for the right stuff, compete for experience,
Right.
compete for gaining knowledge, compete for advancing your mental capacities, not for promotions. And I think that should be a
Absolutely.
very
Absolutely.
yes. Harpreet, over to you. I think you work closely with so many youngsters as well. uh, what what is your message to all the aspiring professionals out there?
Yeah. I want to here share a very, personal story. So we were five cousins. My father and his elder brother used to all stay together. And I still remember my grandmother, specifically told and actually made it mandatory. We were three girls and two boys. And my grandmother made it really mandatory that girls need to get professional education. And that's how all three of us, I'm an engineer, my other sister is a doctor, and and the other one is also an engineer. So that's how I think from a family standpoint, that was kind of focus which was always there, in the family. And I think we were blessed to have that kind of focus from our, even from our grandparents and then parents, and that's how things really flowed. So so, so we, we'll find two kinds of families. One is fortunate enough, to give that guidance to to the children or to grandchildren, and the second will be little bit unfortunate, who are not able to provide guidance. I think one key thing here is experience, right? You life, just experience each moment, experience everything like a flow, and never hesitate to ask. It's very important that whenever you are falling down, you need guidance, you reach out to whomsoever you want to, because at the end of the day, that small thing will add an experience to you, no one else. And what I've observed is asking, reaching out for help is something, as a habit, if we really build in, because sometimes we have to be vulnerable, right? Not necessary, like for example today, not necessary I would know it all. And it's absolutely okay to be vulnerable and say, hey, this is something which I don't know, and I really need to learn, or I really need to have guidance. So I think that is something which would really make a difference. It's okay to be vulnerable, it's absolutely okay to ask questions, and follow a path and purely experience it the way it is. Experience it the way you want to craft it, and be bold, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you have to make some choices, and you have to be bold about it, that this is it, it's your life. And at the end of the day, it's you who will decide how it will end or how it will begin, no one else. You don't have to answer to anyone else in your life, it's you. And if you are able to satisfy yourself, I think that's a big achievement at the end of the day. So this might apply to, I think, all generations. I don't think it is only applicable to Gen Z, but I think it's very key for, I think, each and every woman out there.
So just to sum it up, Lena, is this the key that we are proposing on the women leadership? These are some of the things that just we just spoke about, even from a diversity perspective or a woman leadership perspective. Is this how we'll sum up, or you want to sum it up in a few words for us? How should
Oh, I
women
think Lokesh,
leaders?
go ahead and sum it up. Two women have taken most of the time today on the call. So we would love for you to sum it up. Sorry to
Yeah.
put you in a spot.
So sum it up like Lena and Harpreet. This is how you have to lead your lives as a women leader, and I think that is
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
yes.
Make
This,
others
this
do
is how you
work. Make
yes.
others do work.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so this is how you lead, and this is how you perceive yourselves. This is yourself, and this is how you uh, create a brand of leadership around yourself. So I think this was wonderful. Anything else that any of you would like to talk about? We are at the end of time now.
I would say live life queen size.
Yeah.
Yo, man.
And
True
I
woman.
second to that. Live life
Yeah.
queen size.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So on that note, live life queen size. And we end our session here today. Thanks a lot to all the viewers. You can also post your comments or questions to Lena or Harpreet on the chat. This will be available even after the session, and it would be wonderful to hear some more from them. Lena and Harpreet, really look forward to meeting you again on this platform sometime soon in some other
Sure.
context.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much.